Hi guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. We're going to continue on doing some comedy clips here, and of course, we're going to have to be doing some Would I Lie to You clips. This is Keith featuring Bob Mortimer, Lee Mack, and David Harewood. I think that's it, Harewood. Well, y'all know the bit there. This is somebody, Keith actually. Keith is somebody that one of them know, and the other two are lying. So we got to figure out which one it is, or who it is. Yeah, figure out who it is. Not much more to say, so we'll just get started. Just be sure to like the video if you liked it, and to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and pass the video around. Let's get started.
So, Bob, first of all. Bob, what is Keith to you?
This is Keith. He's my oldest friend, and when we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone in the classroom ceiling to confuse our teacher.
David Harewood?
This is my old teacher, Keith. I once had to claim I wasn't me when I met him in a cafe, as I was in character preparing for Homeland.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Keith.
This is Keith, and his hawk... Yes. Yes, I'll admit, David, it's a difficult start. Well, go with it. Yeah. This is Keith, and his hawk was supposed to land on my arm at a village fete, but instead stole the wig from the man next to me and flew off into a tree.
So there we are. It's Bob's classroom prankster, it's David's blanked buddy, or it's Lee's hawk handler. David's team, where do you start?
So, yes, David, he was a teacher at your school?
Very briefly.
What, a whole lesson?
I mean, I don't know if... I would see him.
But he didn't teach you?
No, not teach me.
He was someone who hung around a school, and charitably, you assumed he was a teacher.
But if he was at the school a short period of time, how did you even recognise him in the cafe?
Oh, I knew it was him. He walked into the cafe and he said, "Hi, David," and basically I blanked him. It was literally the month before I went to America when I was doing Homeland, and I'd just been to see my dialect coach. He basically said I have to stay in my American voice. So
Could you not have explained that to him in your American voice? I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm doing a roll here.
I don't think it was ever as good as that, John, to be fair.
I basically just had to say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm remembering you now. Do the voice a bit more.
I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, that did weird things to me.
So your dialect coach said, you're in this role, you need to stay in this character.
Yeah.
Now the lesson's over, let's go to a very public place.
Yeah.
We are likely to encounter several people.
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to stay in that voice. You have to have the confidence to stay in your voice.
Why can't you just, turn it on like an actor?
Oh, that's a cheap shot, Sarah.
I have to say, I did phone him up afterwards and apologise.
So you had his number?
You stayed in touch with the teacher you barely remember.
Would it be fair to say the hawk's looking a bit more plausible?
So, David, who would you like to question next?
Bob, remind us of your allegation.
When we were at school together, we hid a dictaphone machine in the ceiling tiles to interrupt the lesson.
So not to record, but to play stuff?
Yeah.
What sort of stuff?
Well, it was important to keep a gap at the beginning, so we let it run for about 15 minutes. And then there was the noise of a fly. For a brief period, then another period, to confuse the teacher.
Where would you get the noise from the fly? You'd make the noise.
We'd make the noise ourselves,
Well, let's hear
I'm
your
not paying
fly
for no
noise.
fly to do it.
Let's hear your fly.
It does sound like a fly.
Can I hear your bee?
We didn't do a bee.
Do you know how to do a bee? Just like that fly.
no, it's more wholesome if it's a bee, isn't it?
Show me the difference, David.
Well, I don't know. I'm not.
Do it.
I'd say okay. A bee would be a sort of a foot.
No, that's a
Whereas a
bumblebee.
fly is
Yeah. Very good. That's good. Very good.
Right.
Do you see the way he just slipped straight in and out of character?
So yes, there was silence,
Yeah.
then a little bit of fly, silence, a little bit of fly, and then quite loudly, but not to frighten anyone, the word wolf. Then more silence. Yeah. Bit more silence. Then Speedway Stadium. Like that.
Speedway Stadium.
Do you know, the idea was just to say kind of random things. He was a really nice teacher called Bill Whitlingham.
How did Bill Whitlingham react to these random sounds?
Well, Mr. Whitlingham left the room and said, "Can you sort this out by the time I've gone back?" Can you sort whatever it is that's going on? And there was a cupboard in the corner where, interestingly, it had like exercise books in it, pens and that, but it also had, in a little cage, a hand lion, which is a robotic, it's a battery-operated thing.
Are you just saying any words that come into your head? In any order?
It's a hand lion, and if you
hand lion.
it's a robotic, animatronic hand lion, yeah. And if you'd been particularly good, he would put it on your hand and set it to lick it. Lick it. If you'd been particularly...
Was this like a clockwork lion?
No, it was remote control.
It was remote control.
Remote control. He had the controller in his desk, and he said, "You've
the
you've been
actual
such a
hand
good boy.
lion-
Get out the hand lion, and you'll get a lick." And if you'd been bad, you put him on your hand and he'd strike. He'd strike at your hand.
So the hand lion had two settings. It could lick or it could strike.
Yes, good boy, bad boy.
Right, very
Good boy,
sensible.
bad boy. Now, the only problem with it, of course, was...
What, this story?
It would... The only problem was, of course, if the batteries got low, it would get constipated. No, anyway, but in this cupboard, so we got up on the cupboard.
You climb onto the cupboard that
Yes.
the hand lion is housed in.
Probably asleep.
Right, you reach up onto the ceiling tile,
Take out the dictaphone.
switch it off.
Yep.
Mr. Whitlingham
Yes.
comes back in.
Yes.
What happens?
He's nervously awaiting another, edict from above. Doesn't come, we carry on with the lesson. British government and politics it was.
There was a
what was
lesson called British Government and Politics.
Yeah.
Whole
British-
year on that.
2 years, it was A-level.
For the sixth formers,
Yes.
a hand lion. Hand lion that can either lick or strike was what was used to express praise or the opposite to these 17 or 18-year-old students.
And it was very effective.
All right, would you like to move on to the final claim?
So, Lee, tell the story about Keith.
I was at a village fete, and
Why were you at a village fete?
I was helping out
What village?
Thames Ditton.
Why were you helping out at Thames Ditton fete?
Because I don't live too far away from there, and they asked me to help out, and I did a few little things, like I did a bit of tombola, a bit of announcing. Then I went over to judge the pig racing. The usual things you do at a fete, you know.
The pig racing?
Yeah. I don't know why I judged it, because surely first past the post, but... I was doing a case of a dead heat.
And what happened with the hawk and Keith and the wig?
One of the things I had to do was to volunteer to stand there and learn. He had the little headpiece on where he'd teach the crowd basic falconry, I believe we call it. I'd stick the glove on and then hold this little thing. I don't know what it was, but I'm doing this.
A
I'm a bit
small
nervous.
morsel of meat.
Thank God you've been to one, because I haven't. I'm holding a small morsel of meat. Then what happens? And
Then the swan comes down.
the swan came down. So the hawk comes over, right? It comes over. There's a person missing from this story, and it's the mayor, right? The local mayor. I can't say it in I always
Mayor.
The mayor, right? The
So
mayor
you're
of London.
standing next to a horse.
Yeah, so the local... So the mayor is doing his bit, but the mayor has got a wig on, right? The hawk flies over to go and land on my hand, but he lands on the mayor's head, and so he gets caught up in his in his, what should we call them?
Talons.
Talons. Gets
Talons.
caught up in the talons, and then in the sort of panic, the bird sort of, and he can't release this wig, and he flies off. And he goes into the tree. I said, why didn't he go for the meat? And he said, I genuinely think the gold chain caught his eye. There was a bit of confusion for a second, and he just did a bit of an emergency landing on a Mers wig at Thamesden Fate. What's there not to believe?
Did you cry, oh no, the Mers hers over there?
All right, so David's team is Keith, Bob's classroom prankster, David's blanked buddy, or Lee's hawk handler.
I was believing Bob.
Jeez, I don't know, man. They're all sort of out there. I guess the first guy, you know, he seems like new on the panel, so you know, why not give him a shot at it? Bob, it's hard. Bob's hard to say no to, because it doesn't seem ridiculous. So it's very possible. I don't see the point to it. I'm going to say the first guy there with the American accent. Yeah, I guess his name is David Harewood. I'm going to say it's him.
Bob until the fact that he was 18 and the hand lion. I'm leaning towards David.
I think I'm leaning towards David.
I think it's Bob, and I think he panicked because he knew we were onto him, so he went on a ridiculous riff about a hand line to throw us off the scent. I'll go Bob, but I've been wrong before.
Tara?
I'm going to go David.
We'll go David.
You're saying David. Keith, please reveal your true identity.
My name's Keith, and Bob and I recorded voices. And the dictaphone on the ceiling.
Yeah. Never go against Bob. I should know that.
Yes. Keith is Bob's classroom prankster.
I would never have believed all that stuff about a hand line was completely true.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you.
Okay, so once again, you know, fooled by Bob. You can't go against him because, I mean, okay, that story wasn't like the most ridiculous story I ever heard. Didn't seem to be much point considering they're all like, I'd say adults, but 18 years old, you know, I guess that's an adult. Seemed like a childish prank to do in a, you know, adult classroom. But I guess that's Bob, so Bob got me again. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you made the right choice there. You sure did watching the video. We'll see you on the next one. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and all that stuff. And have a nice day.